Is going on, everybody? Victor here with a brand new video, and I'm going to be talking about the co-main event at UFC 257. Iron Michael Chandler making his much anticipated UFC debut against Dan the Hangman Hooker, who is the number 6 ranked lightweight contender in the UFC. So a top 6 opponent versus someone coming from a different promotion. Michael Chandler coming from Bellator and making his debut. Obviously, there's a little bit of skepticism coming in for the debut of Michael Chandler. A lot of Bellator guys that have made that transition from Bellator to UFC have not really had great runs with the promotion. The only person that I know who has had a really good run in the UFC who had a lot of success from Bellator moving to the UFC was Eddie Alvarez. Eddie Alvarez used to be the Bellator champion. He came over to the UFC. He beat RDA to become the UFC lightweight champion before getting that title stripped away by Conor McGregor via knockout in the second round in Madison Square Garden. Obviously, since then, a lot has changed within the division. Now we've got a newcomer such as Michael Chandler coming in with a lot of hype behind him. So let me go over the details about Michael Chandler first. He's a 3-time Bellator lightweight champion. He's beaten the likes of Benson Henderson not once, but twice. He's beaten Patricky Pitbull by KO. He's also taken out Marcin Held by KO. And he's also beaten the likes of Derek Campos and other great fighters in that Bellator organization as well. So he's had a great run with Bellator. He was the champ 3 times, but he's also had a couple of losses as well. Most recently, he was knocked out by Patricio Pitbull. That was his last loss. And then he also lost twice to Will Brooks, who was a part of the UFC, but he had a couple of poor performances, which basically prompted his exit out of the promotion to seek success elsewhere. Obviously, a lot of people had high praise for him because he did beat Michael Chandler not once but twice, but obviously things did not go his way with the UFC. He also lost to he lost to Will Brooks, he lost to Patricio Pitbull, he also lost to Brent Primus via injury. So he rolled his ankle and he didn't have any severe damage with it, but he cannot walk on one of his feet because of an ankle injury that he did sustain during that fight as well. So obviously Michael Chandler cannot continue further, prompting Bellator to give Brent Primus that Bellator lightweight championship. But then Michael Chandler and Brent Primus would have a rematch later on where Michael Chandler defeated Brent Primus via unanimous decision to regain his title back before losing it to Patricio Pitbull. Also, Michael Chandler is a former NCAA wrestling All-American for the Missouri Tigers. Most notably, he used to be in the same team as Tyron Woodley and Ben Askren, 2 other All-Americans for the Missouri Tigers as well, and 2 other mixed martial artists that have had very successful careers among the sport. And then you've also got the fact that before making that walk to Bellator, he did have a stint with Strikeforce. A lot of great fighters have made that transition from Strikeforce over to the UFC. Jorge Masvidal, Daniel Cormier, Tyron Woodley, all these different guys have been able to make that transition from Strikeforce over to the UFC and have a lot of great success. Daniel Cormier becoming a double champ. Then you've got Jorge Masvidal with the fastest KO in the history of the UFC, the BMF champ. And the list goes on and on and on with different fighters from Strikeforce coming over to the UFC and having a lot of success. Obviously, Michael Chandler decided to not go to the UFC, but transition to Bellator, where he's been there for a very, very long time. I believe he has the most wins in Bellator history, if Patricio Pitbull has not surpassed them by now. But those two are pretty much neck and neck with one another when it came to all-time wins in Bellator history, because he started out with the promotion when that promotion started in the early 2000s. I believe it was 2010 to 2013 was when that promotion started, and Michael Chandler's been there basically since last year when he became a free agent, decided to test the free agent waters, and now is with the UFC. Obviously, his opponent is the number 6 ranked lightweight in the world, Dan the Hangman Hooker. Dan is very a tough opponent. The last guy to be able to finish Dan was Edson Barbosa, and he took a real good amount of damage during that fight. He was eating a bunch of calf kicks. He was eating a lot of body kicks. And I believe he did break a rib during that fight. Obviously, he sustained a lot of damage to his rib cage because Edson was really ripping a lot of round kicks to the body, which caused Dan Hooker to crumble to the ground. But he rose up from the ashes and he was just on a mass tear. He knocked out Gilbert Burns. He knocked out James Vick. He submitted Mark DeCasey. He beat Paul Felder via unanimous decision. He had a 5-round war with Dustin Poirier. He's been in there with the best in the whole entire division. He's clean house of the division. He's clean house of the division with the rest of the top 5 fighters in that whole entire division. So Dan Hooker deserves to be in the top 6 with the best of them. And he's going to have a lot of opposition as well. But I have a lot of confidence in Dan Hooker to be able to take this opponent head on because he trains with the best in New Zealand and Australia and that whole entire Oceania region because he trains in City Kickboxing. He trains with the middleweight champion Israel Adesanya. He trains with Brad Riddell, who is an upcoming lightweight from New Zealand, who is a kickboxing specialist. These guys are all kickboxing specialists because that's why it's called City Kickboxing. That's pretty much what they learn first. Most of those guys in that gym have a kickboxing background, just like Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker likes to work the elbows. He likes to work the knees. He likes to work the spinning kicks, the round kicks, the front kicks, the side kicks, the calf kicks, the quad kicks, everything. Everything that you can think about, Dan Hooker is all about it. But Dan Hooker likes to receive a lot of damage. Dan Hooker has got a chin on him. Will he be able to sustain the power that Michael Chandler will be able to pour on him? Michael Chandler doesn't only have the name Iron Mike Chandler for a reason. The guy is a brick house. He is stacked. He's built. He's built like one of those Greek gods, man, on Mount Olympus, Hercules and all that. It's basically, when you think about that, you think about Michael Chandler because the guy has legendary, epic workout videos on Instagram, on all of his social media accounts where he's doing the absolute craziest workouts, backflips, front flips, jumping all around, doing all these different crazy workouts that we wish that we would be able to do, but most likely we'll never be able to do in our lifetimes because of the difficulty that he's pulling these tricks with, especially when he's working out. And for some reason, Dan Hooker basically gave Michael Chandler the keys to victory in one of his interviews, basically telling him that he's going to have to mix up with him, he's going to have to wrestle him, he's going to have to really get him out of there, but mostly he's going to have to wrestle him, get him to the ground, and kind of ground and pound him and try to get him out of there as fast as possible. And I thought that was pretty dumb, but maybe it's working. It might work to his strategy. Maybe he knows that Michael Chandler's been listening to his interviews and that he might have been listening to that one, so he's definitely going to pull something different off and kind of catch Michael Chandler off by surprise, but I have no idea. Michael Chandler trains at Sanford MMA with Henry Hooft, one of the best MMA coaches in the whole entire world, so obviously they have a game plan that's cooked up for them. If I were Mike Chandler, obviously I'd go low. Dan is a very tall and lanky guy. Instead of going high, definitely go to the body. Dan is definitely soft to the body. Edson Barbosa definitely exposed that negative, that weakness that Dan Hooker has. Dan Hooker doesn't protect his body, so he's going to have to pour on some combinations, but definitely work on the body instead of working on the head. Instead of head hunting, go to the body first. Also attack the legs as well because Dan Hooker is a tall and lanky guy. So obviously, work some feints, work some jabs, distract Dan Hooker, move around a little bit, keep him guessing, and keep on attacking the legs and attack the body. I just invest in the body as much as you possibly can for Mike Chandler because Dan Hooker knows he's not going to protect it. He's going to think that Mike Chandler is going to go up high and headhunt and try to knock him out early. And Dan Hooker is a very good counterpuncher. We all saw that against his fight with Gilbert Burns a couple years back. Gilbert was trying to go in for the kill, but Dan was able to counter and basically counter him 2 times that led to the knockouts. Obviously, Dan has a lot of good power, and if Michael Chandler is going to think about a takedown, then watch out for the knees that Dan Hooker is going to present. He almost knocked out and finished Dustin Poirier with a knee in one of the later rounds, the very end of it. If he had maybe 10 or 20 seconds left, he could have finished off Dustin Poirier, but his knees are deadly, his elbows are deadly, and you got to watch out for his spin attacks as well because, like I said, Dan Hooker likes to use his distance, he likes to counter. If I'm Michael Chandler, you've got to be diligent at all times. Don't try to go in there for the kill as fast as possible because you're going to get countered. So obviously, if I were Michael, I'd try to go for the takedowns, but we don't really know that much about Dan Hooker's ground game because we don't really see him down there that much. He does know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because he did submit Mark Casey. I believe it was in the first or second round of their fight a couple years back. So Dan is not oblivious to what it's like to be on the ground. He obviously knows Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He can be able to tap you out. And Michael Chandler's the same thing. He tapped out Eddie Alvarez during their first fight, and obviously he likes to knock out a lot of people, but he definitely does know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on the ground. Obviously, Michael Chandler did beat Brent Primus, who is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, one of the best BJJ artists that Bellator has to offer. So obviously he does have a lot of good game on the ground. Both of these men are well-rounded MMA fighters. They are complete MMA fighters, and it's going to be one heck of a matchup. So I appreciate you guys for watching this, and if you guys are asking me who is going to win this, it's a tough one. It really is a tough one because it can go either way, but I think Michael Chandler is going to continue this bad trend of Bellator fighters transitioning over to the UFC and having a bad start. The last Bellator fighter to have a big debut for the UFC was none other than Ben Askren, and he won that fight off of a miracle. He was getting slaughtered by Robbie Lawler. Somehow he was able to get up and put Robbie inside of a bulldog choke, and Robbie was still conscious, but Herb Dean saw something different and stopped the fight, and Ben Askren was able to win that off of a lot of controversy. So obviously, I don't know if Michael Chandler is going to have the same type of luck that Ben Askren did against Robbie Lawler, but we're going to have to see what happens. But I'm going to pick Dan Hooker. I think he's going to get it done via TKO. And I'm going to be bold with this. I think he gets it done via TKO in the first round. I think he's going to catch Michael Chandler with a knee or with an elbow, and he's really going to rock him, and then he's going to basically finish him while they're on the ground. So obviously I'm going to with Dan Hooker via TKO in the first round. Appreciate you guys for watching this video. Keep posted because I'm going to put a couple more videos tomorrow, maybe one or two before the big fights. I hope you guys enjoy tomorrow night. And like I said, it is time. Conor McGregor is back. Dustin Poirier is back as well. The rematch, I can't wait. Take it easy, guys. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of your nights.